Hi everybody, this is the baseball hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host hut, and this is another episode on the insane asylum known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha, they're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha, to the funny fun.
Now welcome back to this channel. This channel used to be the football hut, but now it's sort of the baseball hut archives. But one of the things I'd like to talk about, I know you like me doing videos on, is on WFAN. Now, I've done a lot of WFAN videos on the baseball hut, too, and talked about how they are unfair, how a lot of this stuff is just complete total garbage. Some of the stuff in the way they talk about the Mets and really a lot of the teams in this town. The one thing about talk radio is it is, in particular sports talk radio, is a kind of a dying medium, because they kind of have the same template in terms of how they put out their quote-unquote content. It's still based on shock jock attitudes of the 70s and the 80s of, say, of Don Imus or Howard Stern. They've not evolved to the point where they're like podcasts or YouTube channels where the YouTubers talk about things that the audience wants to hear. The audience at WFAN has abandoned them, and they basically fighting over scraps. Now, WFAN in particular is a shadow of its former self. It has big revenues from the NFL, Major League Baseball, but they don't have the big money maker that they used to have in Imus in the morning when he was at the radio station. Obviously, he's passed away. The show's gone, but the point is, at least with this, you have a bunch of lightweights on the radio. On during the day, there's nobody that puts them in their place. I have been doing that the last few months on the baseball hut too, but they've gone after several people really since last summer. It started with Pete Alonso. It started with former Giants linebacker and Giants legend Carl Banks, and now they've gone after former Giant Saquon Barkley, being led by Tiki Barber. Now, over the last few days, it's gotten a little crazy. And obviously, WFN's desperate to do other things other than baseball right now, because it's kind of a quiet period. There's no March Madness right now. It's very quiet right now. But we have the NFL free agency, which began on Monday. Now, last week, Tiki Barber, who was part of the afternoon show with Evan Roberts, went after Saquon Barkley, said if the worst thing he could do is sign with the Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles are obviously the big rival with the Giants. But I'm going to point out a couple of things. I'm a Giants fan. Giants haven't been good in a very long time. It's going to take them a long time to be in the class of the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They have a great quarterback. They've had a great team for quite a few years. The Giants have had a difficult time beating them and being competitive against them. Just being competitive. So, Saquon Barkley's a young guy. He's 27 years old. He's been in the league for 5 years. He wants to win. He's been here. They've had one good, decent year. And obviously, as a running back, he's not going to get a big contract. The Giants gave him a franchise tag. He wasn't too happy about it. He kind of held out for a little bit last year when they had minicamp. But he's been a good Giant. He hasn't been a great Giant. He's been a good Giant. Now, Tiki Barber was a great Giant, but Tiki never won a Super Bowl. I'm going to get into Tiki and his attitude just in general. But he went after Saquon last week. Now, Barkley's had a pretty good reputation here, other than his complaining about not being treated fairly by the NFL, because running back's not a premium position. It's not a wide receiver. It's not a quarterback. It's not an offensive lineman. So that's sort of on the back burner in terms of money. So other than that, he really wasn't complaining too much about the Giants, other than they franchise tagged him. But the Giants, to me, the Giants didn't do anything wrong, and Saquon leaving was not a problem. Now, here's the problem. And they've been trying to justify it since yesterday, since Monday. So Tiki's warned Saquon, don't sign with the Eagles or else. He said this on Monday. This is from Odyssey.com. Headline: Tiki reacts to Saquon Barkley signing with the Eagles. Quote, "You're dead to us." Now, I would mention, WFAN does not speak for the fans. They speak for themselves, and they speak for their radio station and CBS Corporation. They don't speak for us. They don't speak for me. They don't speak for you. Saquon Barkley is reportedly signed with the Eagles as the lifelong Giant will join a hated rival on a 3-year deal. The Evan and knows how they wrote it too. The Evan and Tiki crew reacted live to the breaking news on the air, and Tiki, after warning Barkley that his New York legacy would be ruined if he signed with Philly, didn't hold back on the fellow running back. Quote, "He's dead to us now. You're dead to us, Saquon," Tiki said. "Good luck. You're dead to me." Now, he said this in a joking way. But here's the thing, folks. Tiki Barber is not known for his sense of humor. Tiki Barber is very dry on the air. There's not a lot of yucks there. He's not. No one's saying, "I gotta listen to what Tiki has to say. He's funny. Oh man, he's side-splittingly funny." Nobody's saying that. Sean Marash was in more of a celebratory mood as he was ready for the Giants to move on from Barkley in the first place, and thanks to the contract, will come back to bite the Eagles. Now Marash is one of these real lightweights. Philly, enjoy the 9 games he'll play next year. See you, Saquon. Enjoy those overrated cheesesteaks. Of course, you got to talk about food. Every picture you see of Marash is eating food. But this is what they do with the fan. They attack whatever. And then they pretend that they speak for the fan. Now, Saquon saw this. He heard about this. Someone had told him about this dead to us nonsense. So here's from Odyssey.com again. Headline, Saquon Barkley fires back at Tiki after dead to us declaration. Tiki Barber, days after predicting that Saquon Barkley's legacy would be tainted in New York forever, he left for the hated Eagles, said Barkley was dead to us after the star running back did indeed sign a 3-year deal with Philadelphia. Now, I would mention, if Barkley goes on and wins a Super Bowl, his legacy with the Giants is not tainted. That means if he's able to score a lot of touchdowns, score a lot of points, run that ball into the end zone a lot for a team that goes on to win a Super Bowl again, his legacy with the Giants will be much more secure than you would think. And we'll get into Tiki Barber's legacy, by the way. Hours after Barber's dead to me comments, Barkley fired back. Quote, this is from Twitter. "I got the deal I wanted," Barkley posted on X. "So if fans are going to hate me for that, so be it. But I never turned my back on my teammates and always had their backs." Minutes later, Barkley fired off a separate post at Tiki. "You've been a hater since I got to New York," Barkley said, "and all the dead to me talk, don't smile on my face when you see me." Tiki has spoken highly of the cultural impact Barkley had on the Giants, which is why he advocated for Big Blue to keep him in New York before the trade deadline last season, even if it meant risking losing him for nothing in the offseason, which eventually happened. Now Barkley becomes a bitter rival to the Giants and their fans, taking the short trip down the turnpike to Philadelphia. Now, here's the thing. If you don't remember, Tiki Barber was with the Giants during their Super Bowl run in 2000. He played for them, 6-7 years? He retired in 2007. Or 2006-2007 season. And he had a great career. He had some issues in the beginning of his career where he would fumble a lot. But once the Giants brought in Tom Coughlin to be his head coach, he taught him not to fumble anymore. And he made him into a great, great player. Now, Tiki retired before he could really, put himself in Canton. As you know, his brother's in Canton as a defensive back, as a safety. And that's Ronnie Barber. And Tiki never played more than he played because he just didn't want to take the hits. But a couple of things about Tiki that you need to understand. He was what you would consider a locker room lawyer. He caused a lot of trouble in the clubhouse, and particularly against Eli Manning. Him and Jeremy Shockey, who was the tight end with the Giants, who eventually they traded him to the Chiefs. But Tiki was was a media darling. He wanted to be in the media so badly. That's why he retired. Part of the reason why he retired early was so that he could be in the media at a younger age. And Tiki just sort of forgets the fact that he was causing all kinds of trouble with the Giants, in particular, like I said, Eli Manning. Eli's going to the Hall of Fame. Eli won 2 Super Bowls. It is of no surprise that the Giants won the Super Bowl the year after he was gone from the Giants and a year after Shockey was gone, and they won a second Super Bowl a few years later. Now, Tiki has sort of said, well, I was misrepresented. But he will admit, and he has said this on the air, folks, that he still does not talk to Tom Coughlin. They have not spoken since he retired after the 2006-2007 season. Things were so bad in that locker room with Tiki and with Coughlin and with Eli Manning. But Eli's, probably laughed it off. But it was so bad in that clubhouse, in that locker room, that to this day, Coughlin has never spoken to Tiki Barber. Now, you have to keep in mind, WFAN has the games with the Giants. I don't know if the Giants haven't said anything that he left, okay? Maybe behind the scenes, maybe not behind the scenes. They complained that he was going to leave to go to Philadelphia. I don't know. But WFAN does not speak for the fans. I'm happy Saquon gets a chance to win. How many more years does he have to play? Okay, he signed a 3-year deal. How many more years does he have to play? I like to see him win a championship. He's a good kid. He's a great player. Is he Hall of Fame player? No. But who knows how he's going to perform in Philadelphia. And he's got a great quarterback. We'll see who that new center is going to be. Obviously, Jason Kelsey's retired. But they're going to have a chance to have a great back there to give them more balance than they had in the past. Now, hopefully he can stay healthy, obviously. But, the thing about Tiki Barber is that if you think about his career as a broadcaster, is anybody knows much about it? Any memorable moment? Is this a guy that you look at, he's a funny guy? Does he make you, Sally, like I said earlier in the video, does he look like the kind of guy that makes you think, oh man, I can't wait to put on Tiki today. He's going to say something funny about this. No. So when he said this is dead to me, this is the kind of sarcasm. This is the kind of sarcasm that was going on in the Giants locker room. This kind of stuff. This sort of petulant, backstabbing, front stabbing that he was probably doing in that locker room. Like I said, when you take somebody out of a room, especially in sports, that's also a good thing too. That actually loosens up a lot of people to be themselves. Now, Tiki has sort of been the guy over the last few months I've not said much about. I think what he said was terrible, Barkley's been a very good citizen here. He's been a good guy here. So why attack him because he goes to Philadelphia? You're so desperate for ratings? And do you really want my attention? And this is another report on the insane asylum known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha. They're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha, to the funny part.